How's the Josh? How's the Josh? How's the Josh? Thank you. A very good afternoon to all of you here. I think there is something which I always like to describe myself, which I don't know, for some reason, maybe in a hurry or whatever, missed out from my bio that was read earlier. I would like to describe myself as a student forever. And as I've been here since morning, listening to everyone, listening to the esteemed panel, I think I've made a lot of notes. And honestly, I didn't come here with any preparation, any research, any data points on the topic or what specifically I need to address, because I came here to learn, like most of you. I came here to imbibe from this session and from this interaction. Okay, so maybe I'll just go off the mic and I ask each of you, and my esteemed panelists did that earlier. What is your expectation from this conference? I know we all know the topic is here. We've had speakers since morning talk about, GDKP. Thank you. This is much better. We've had speakers since morning talk about GDKP, and we've had many other people address what GDKP is on the web conference or the video conferencing which they joined us today. But let me share with you only my personal experience. And when I was given this topic, I sort of was quiet for a minute. It took me a while, and I'm not going to claim any fame to it that I'm the know-it-all and I knew what it meant. So it actually made me stop and think about what is this GDKP, and a simple mantra that I've used in my life for everything that I do, and that's why I call myself still a student like most of you. I'm still learning. I'm learning from the panel, from dear professors and from all of you. Is break down any problem into 3 parts, and if you can address those 3 steps, you would have solved the problem at least 90%. And those 3 steps are what it is, why it is, and how we can benefit from it. So when I thought of GDKP, I thought of it in these 3 steps. What is GDKP? And we've had many speakers talk about it. We've had Professor address us, and he actually told us about what the mechanisms are, what are the metrics to measure it. Of course, it is slightly tough, and it's a nascent one. And then, why is it important to us? That was my second question. And then, how can I benefit from it? So these are the 3 things that I wanted to address. I'm going to make it extremely short and relevant so that you can relate to it. When I thought of why knowledge is an important factor, why would you think K is so important in that GDKP? And I'm going to skip all of these notes that I took since morning. I'm just going to go back to, and we've all talked about the rich cultural heritage, the rich heritage we've had from our, Vedas, Upanishads and all of that. So I'm going to use one of the ancient languages in the human history to actually dwell upon the why and the importance of K in GDKP. I'm going to quote a Sanskrit verse which says, Na chorharya, na rajharya, na, and I'm not sure how many of you understand Sanskrit, but I can translate that for you slightly later. What the shlok means is, I'm going to translate the shlok later. Let me first recite the shlok for you and why the knowledge factor is so important. Na chorharya, na cha rajharya, na bhratra bhanjanya, na cha bharbhari. So this means knowledge is something which cannot be taken away, which cannot be stolen. Knowledge is something which cannot be taken away by kings, by governments, by authorities. Your knowledge is truly yours. No one can take it away from you. Knowledge is something which needn't be taken away or shared and be lessened by that sharing. And knowledge is something which comes without burden. There is no burden if you carry knowledge with you. And the best part of the shlok is Vyaye krite vardat. Vyaye krite vardat means the more you spend, and there is only one such capital in this world, the more you spend, the more it increases. And that is the power of knowledge. This is the only true dhanam, this is the only true wealth in this world. And that is the reason why knowledge is such an important factor of the GDKP. I am myself an intellectual property attorney, intellectual property practitioner. I can talk for hours about the power of innovation and how creativity leads to innovation, innovation leads to invention, and invention aids the economic growth of a country or a nation. And there are many number of examples and various OECD reports and various other reports across the globe. But without getting into those technical details, each of you is a student, I would rather prefer for you to do those searches, but only to lead you in the direction of why this knowledge becomes important. And then how do we get knowledge if in the GDKP scheme of things? Where do I get it from? How do I imbibe it? How do I put it to good use? I think this is just the right place to do that. You are a part of an educational institution, either as a faculty or as a student here. This is the right place. This is the place where, you know, the building blocks of this concept are being laid today. And this will go a long way, because here is where we do our research. Here is where the entire development of the concept is starting. I think today, in that sense, marks a historical date, because we are introducing this concept of GDKP to the world. It's going to go a long way. It's going to take the whole concept of Professor Umberto Salpaso to a very different phase. I would urge that each of us, each of you participate more in researches to figure out how you can sort of bring data to this concept. And there's a lot of research which has already been done. There's been researches done around knowledge capital and how knowledge capital is directly proportional to the GDP of countries, not just companies. Companies, of course, is a subset. And these are not new data or new reports. These are, I'm talking about, or I'm referring to an OECD 2013 report, which talked of the knowledge capital being exactly proportional to the GDP of countries. US and Sweden were rated on very high grounds in that report. And that also then relates directly to an index on knowledge which is published by UNDP. And one would wonder why an organization focused on development is doing knowledge indexes. And why would they have to do anything with knowledge when they should be looking at nations' growth, economy, and capital, and so on? The reason for that is that knowledge directly translates into capital growth, capital investments, and economy of the country. And you're free to go and read that report, but UNDP publishes this index. It is called the GKI, the Global Knowledge Index. Of course, India doesn't rank too high on that index. It ranks only 44.3%, and the global average is about 48.4, which means we are below the global average. This is something that I would leave as a thought for all of you as students here to think through why we are so low on global knowledge index when we all belong to a country where we knew that Earth is round, and we knew about the Earth's rotational and revolution movements even before the modern age astronomers were even thinking about it. So why is it that we are lagging behind? And it is a mandate, or it's a responsibility that falls directly on you and me to actually change that, to be able to contribute to that knowledge factor and contribute to the growth of the country. So it's not like, you're here as listeners and as audience, and we'll tell you something like a magic mantra and you take that home. Each of us is a contributor to this GDKP. Only when you feel that this is your own personal responsibility, I think we'll see the kind of growth that we want to see when we put knowledge as a factor in the GDP of countries. This is a concept that's only beginning to happen, but if we are not engaged enough with it, I think we will lag behind. We've had Western countries get patents on haldi. Haldi is something which even a small kid knows कि चोट लगी है तो हल्दी लगा लो ठीक हो जाता है. And there have been expatriates sitting in Western worlds trying to patent medicinal, qualities of haldi. So what are we talking about? We've had people trying to get patents on medicinal qualities of neem oil. What are we doing? What are we doing here with all the knowledge, all the great tradition that we've had? We just sort of